What do you say to the people that say Hollywood is dead? It's too expensive to make movies out here.
I mean, sadly, there is some truth to that. Like, and as a consequence, if something's more expensive, people get risk averse, and when they're risk averse, they'll tend to just do the same shit. Like, and that's how you get the safe kind of homogenized stuff. Yeah. And so it's a vicious cycle.
When I think about the current state of Star Wars, Marvel, and even just Hollywood in general, we can all agree on one thing. They aren't what they used to be. And regardless of whether you think the reason is preachy messaging, disrespect of the fans, or just plain bad writing, what's undeniable is that interest in these tentpole franchises and Hollywood itself is at an all-time low. The last 3 live-action Disney movies all either lost money or barely broke even, and since The Mandalorian released in 2019, viewership for Star Wars shows has been down 50%, because I think these stories have lost their meaning. And in this video, I want to explore exactly why. This video is sponsored by our Patreon. If you want early access to next week's videos, ad-free videos, livestream Q&As, and even private story coaching sessions, check out the link in the description down below. Thanks, guys. In some ways, every story has some kind of meaning. And I certainly think that it's not impossible to find stories that have both emotional resonance and an engaging plot in the modern era. Andor was great, and Arcane was pretty good. But the examples are few, and seem to be growing fewer. Because it's easy to confuse messaging with meaning. To think that just because a story says something, that means what it says is of substance and will make a timeless narrative on par with what came before. And if you look at something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it started, and where it's come.
All are so childish.
Shut up, slug. Like you wouldn't strut in a money shower?
Once you've strut in one money shower, you've strut in them all.
Right.
We can see this de-evolution in practice. The MCU is one of the greatest franchises of all time. It revolutionized how stories could be told. The idea of an interconnected universe with different characters, narratives, and even filmmaking styles all combining to create a dynamic storytelling saga. And while you might accuse me of falling prey to vain nostalgia, if you go back and watch the first Iron Man film, it still holds up. Sure, novelty plays a part in it, but fundamentally, it's a simple story executed perfectly. We follow Tony Stark, a corrupt and spoiled heir to the Stark Empire, who, through a series of unfortunate events, is enslaved and forced to create weapons for a terrorist organization. With the help of his friend, he builds a suit, escapes, and begins waging war on the evil he himself aided in creating. All while managing to look pretty cool in the process. The storytelling is efficient and well thought out, and while the final act isn't revolutionary, it's an entertaining ending. But most importantly, it engages you well enough to be invested, to actually care. You care about Tony Stark and about his mission. You care about his character growth and the reclaiming of his legacy. And the larger themes are addressed throughout the story in a show don't tell kind of way.
Thank you for saving me. Don't waste it. Don't waste your life.
Despite the fact that Tony is a billionaire genius playboy, the audience can relate to him because the creators weren't afraid to make him look bad. He isn't perfect, he's a jerk, and he embodies our own base instincts. So when he finally decides to rise above them, so do we. He's a hero, and that is what the MCU began as. Now, I won't pretend the following films were all perfect. Thor was a very simple story, Captain America was a little goofy and unrealistic, and Iron Man 2 was a bit misguided.
The question I get asked most often is, Tony, how do you go to the bathroom in the suit? Just like that.
But there was one constant that remained. All of these films are unique. They have unique visual styles, tones, and, of course, heroes. And whether they are good or not, there seems to be an intention behind each story. So when all these heroes united in Avengers for the first time, it was cathartic. The main Avengers were the heart of the MCU. They grew as the audience did, and even as Marvel began to expand the brand with spin-offs and sequels, the films growing gradually more and more formulaic, the viewers were still engaged by these main characters and their connections to them. So when they wrapped it up in Endgame, and these characters took their final bows, everything fell apart. The cinematic universe was so concerned about keeping the attention of the audience that they managed to both not move on from the legacy and disrespect it in every way. They created films like the Black Widow movie, even though her character was already dead, so the story was utterly meaningless. They created a Spider-Man movie that couldn't get over Iron Man's death, even though Spider-Man has never been just about Tony Stark. And finally, they made a bunch of TV shows about new or well-established side characters who simply lacked the star power to engage the audience.
I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
I mean, whether you think a character written like that is realistic or not, it's just downright insufferable. But it was the manner in which Marvel attempted to move on that truly turned off casual and serious fans alike. The humor became more and more self-referential, turning what many fans had come to love into lowbrow jokes, kitschy references, and irrelevant cameos. And this focus on IPs and franchises over the individual stories has bled outward into the whole movie industry. Everyone seems to have adopted this sort of quippy style Marvel humor.
Not be bullied by that.
And so Dork could do this.
And even the stars of these films are constantly followed by cheap references to other movies.
What the shit?
It's as if this greed around franchises, combined with the growing age of the internet, created this meta-network of references and connections. And while it results in a few hundred YouTube videos being made about the same Easter eggs and jokes in a given film or TV show, it's ultimately bad for the stories, the industry, and the art itself. Fans will claim that this new era of Marvel or Star Wars or any of these franchises was more original than ever, and this originality is what made fans like myself angry. But this simply isn't true. Because while these films do say something, what was universally communicated by the sheer volume of stories told, the poor quality of their writing, and even the noticeable drop in visual effects, is that none of these individual projects matter. They have been developed to pad streaming services and boost toy sales. They have no significant effect on the viewers or even the in-world storyline. At best, they are reactive to the general enjoyment of a single character or moment of nostalgia. At worst, they're another round of slop. So, with each new installment in the MCU, the powers that be have reinforced one message. They do not care about this universe. And if the creators and studios don't care, why should we? Tron Ares, Predator Badlands, Jurassic World Rebirth, How to Train Your Dragon, Lilo and Stitch, Wicked 2, Avatar 3, Captain America 4, and Stranger Things Season 5. These are just a few of the biggest titles which released in 2025, and the common denominator is an astounding lack of originality. Now, don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed some of these movies, but they are all, by definition, unoriginal. All smaller pieces of larger franchises, some of which started 10 to 20 years ago. Ever since Marvel began, studios have become obsessed with franchises.
You know, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation.
There was the DC Cinematic Universe, the Star Wars universe, the Monsterverse, the Hunger Games universe, the Lord of the Rings universe, Jurassic World, Assassin's Creed, Halo, The Witcher, and, of course, all of the Disney live-action remakes. Studios identified an easy, reliable formula that would make billions of dollars, no matter how good or bad the stories were. Because with a continued and expansive storyline comes an inherent viewing requirement, which therefore means less risk and more profit. Or so they thought. And while many of these stories initially made money, the amount of damage dealt to the brands and the franchises in the process is irreparable. The stream of live-action Disney remakes are a fantastic example of this. In the early days, Cinderella and Maleficent were received pretty well. But interest has waned as Disney has pumped out remake after vapid remake, until most recently, Snow White lost almost $100 million at the box office. So Hollywood is left with extremes. You have the choice of watching franchise films or non-franchise films, Hollywood blockbusters or indie films, art or content, stories that say something or absolutely nothing, with no nuance in between. And with Warner Brothers buying Netflix, I'm not sure any of this will get better.
Movies need to be seen on the big screen, you know, and that communal experience, what makes Sinners so great, One Battle After Another so great, you know, Marty Supreme so great, all these movies so great, is that you get a chance to go to the theater with people and watch it and have a moment to laugh together, to cry together, to cheer together. And that's why I love going to movies. It's for those storytelling experiences. So
films more and more will be treated like content, built simply to be consumed, rather than stories which can actually change our lives, which can make us cry, laugh, and most importantly, think. It's exactly what happened to Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Though it entered theaters with pretty promising numbers given its limited release, it was put on Netflix less than a month later. It's become a game of numbers, and not even box office numbers or individual movie sales numbers, but streaming numbers, toy sales numbers, sponsorship numbers, which cheapens and minimizes the stories and works of art until they lose all meaning entirely. And meanwhile, the vast majority of people subscribed to this endless stream of content lose all opportunity for intellectual engagement and stimulation in the process. Which, of course, brings me to one of the most hot-button issues in today's pop culture: artificial intelligence. Everyone is talking about how AI actors, movies, books, art, porn, and even overlords are going to claim all of our attention in the next 20 to 50 years. And while I understand many of these issues, I think they fail to strike at the heart of the AI issue: its effect on us, the people who will inevitably be using it. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering how this relates to a loss of meaning in our storytelling, the issue of ever-growing franchises, and the polarization of film and television genres. Well, it's the inevitable result of this trajectory. See, I don't believe that the issues around AI are unique to this technology, or that they only started when ChatGPT was announced in November of 2022. Humans have always been prone to laziness. We always want the easy way to have fun, and whether it's porn, fast food, or drugs, instant gratification is a temptation all of us struggle to overcome. And as a writer, I constantly hear people saying how the publishing and film industries will be completely overshadowed by bots able to generate entire movies, YouTube videos, and books in seconds. And if all that people are interested in is mindless content designed to block out the noise and help us go to sleep, well, they're not wrong. If you find mindless comfort in watching pretty girls in low-cut tops play your favorite video games, I mean, why shouldn't they be replaced with AI? After all, the human element really plays an insignificant role in all of it. Often, people will comment on my most critical videos, saying, if you don't like this piece of media, don't watch it. And while I can understand these criticisms, the people making them are missing the point. Criticizing the bad and praising the good is how we develop our storytelling tastes and a larger storytelling culture. The Star Wars sequel trilogy was objectively a catastrophe. But the only way we're going to get the next Star Wars is by acknowledging this fact and, even further, trying to understand why. So, why have movies lost their meaning? Because we've stopped asking them to be meaningful. Because reading books we can't quite understand has become pretentious, and gatekeeping our favorite franchises has become uncharitable. And look, I get that the overall point of this video is somewhat vague, so if I could end it by communicating anything, it would be this. We are not all simply consumers subjected to the world around us. We are human beings, designed to live and breathe and create art. And our existence means we are inherently part of the system we often criticize. So if you want better stories, do something about it. Pick up a book instead of listening to it. Explore the classics even if you don't know what they mean, and support artists and creatives who encourage you to do so. In the age of the internet, the effort required to aid these creators and artists is so minimal, yet so meaningful. And who knows, maybe you'll finally get the adaptation you always wanted. Or you'll write something worth adapting yourself. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider supporting the channel with our Patreon down below. It helps the videos and the creative projects we're working on. Even just join the Discord for free so we can chat more about this stuff. And no matter what you do, keep reading, keep writing, and I will see you all in the next video.